Chapter 2 of CMADD, Documentation and Maintenance of Records. First, document. Document is a part and parcel of written, printed, electronic matter that provides certain information. The information may be structured or unstructured. Documents may usually be changed and revised as per the requirement. In our daily lives, we all create, receive and use the documents. The email we send and the receive, reports, shopping list, etc. are all example of documents. Next, record. Record is a matter of evidence about the past. Many records initially start out as a document and later become a records when they are used as a evidence. Record can be used as a proof in legal obligations or in the transaction of the business. It is also important to keep in mind that not every record is a document. For instance, a taped conversation between two persons may be used as a record even though it is not in a document form. So, to conclude that they were framing a conspiracy, some example of records may include final reports, email, confirming actions or decisions, photographs, spreadsheets, business contacts, etc. Next, purpose of documentation. First, client service communication, accountability, professional responsibility, legal requirement, quality research resource management, research. First, client service. Documentation is a tool for professional to serve better to their clients in a timely and effective manner. So, next, go for professional responsibility. Documentation is an integral part of professional practice and forms the basis for evidence of professional conduct. Next, communication. Documentation is a base for better communication between professionals. Next, accountability. Documentation demonstrates professional accountability and records the work of the professional. Next, legal requirement. Professionals are required to make and keep records of their professional work in accordance with the practice standards followed and organizational policy. Example, working paper. Quality. Documents may be used to evaluate professional practice in terms of the peer review or quality review, audit and accreditation process. Research. Document is a valuable source of data for researchers. Resource management. Accurate and comprehensive document is a valuable source of evidence and provide basis for resource management. Next, guiding principles of good documentation. If this question turns up in the exam, first we have to write the document meaning in the first page, and next in the box they gave what is good documentation practice. So first we have to write documentation meaning and next good documentation, and then we have to go to the guiding principles because they're not described, only they gave the head points. So we have to write first documentation, next good documentation and then points. So in good documentation practices is a set of best practices for documentation and record keeping. It aims to preserve the data integrity of important documents, and record can also serve as a guideline for how to record information and store the data appropriately. And next, guiding principles. First, clear. Next, concise. Concise means doesn't mean it should not be complete. So concise, complete. Both can be used at a time. First clear, next concise, next complete. Next, contemporary correct, and next, client centric, confidential. Client information should be confidential, so remember in that way, client centric, confidential. And at last, all of them ends with the TIVE. So consecutive, comprehensive, collaborative, collaborative. First is clear, next concise and complete. Next, contemporary correct. Next, client centric, confidential, and last, consecutive, comprehensive, collaborative. Next, example of poor documentation practices. The following are some of the example of poor means bad. First, document with errors, corrections and not signed or dated and did not include a reason for the correction. Write over and white out. Write over, multiple line through and use of white out or other masking device. Recording of events is not in a sequence and tabled, means recording of the events in a tabled or not in a sequence. So first raw material entered, that should write, but first sold the products that they are writing. Step by step they are not maintaining. That is the means of sequence. Delegation of work is not recorded and not documented as well. Standard operating procedures as adopted by the professionals is not authorized, and out of specification procedure not detailed enough, flow charts and or checklist is not available. Next, example of good documentation. Records should be completed at time of activity or when any action is being taken. Means while we are going through the lesson, we will make the running notes. That is the first point explanation. And superseded document should be retained for a specific period of time. Like example, earlier clause and later clause. Earlier clause should be preserved. Next, concise, legible, accurate and traceable. Example is annual report, board reports. They are concise, legible, accurate and traceable also. Picture is a worth of 1,000 words. Picture is more. Okay. Clear examples. Examples should be clear. And don't assume knowledge or information. Stay until what they have given. We should not assume our own. Next, good documentation, do's and don'ts. Do's: do record the data or document as soon as it is generated, and don't delay in don'ts. Don't delay in data or document recording. Next, do's: do add the reference notes to provide the context. Do validate your computerized system or a document software. Means regularly should validate is the computer is up to date or no, like that. And do limit document access to authorized personnel. Only for authorized personnel access should be there. Do specify when the document or data was recorded, reviewed and approved. Means timestamp when and all the changes have been made. Do keep data backup either automatically or by storing the true copy in the separate location. What is a backup plan? Next, don'ts. Don't make the data confusing, vague or unreadable. Don't encourage handwritten documentation because handwritten may differ from person to person. Don't intentionally falsify the document or record. Don't predate or backdate the document. Don't archive data or document unless explicitly authorized to do so. Means the book should be preserved for 8 years. Before 8 years, don't put the in archives. Next, electronic repository of documents. In an electronic repository, DMS, that is document management system, works by using a computer system and software to store, manage, track electronic documents and electronic images of paper-based information captured through the use of scanner. Document management refers to the process of managing and tracking of documents and records through an electronic or physical source of the documents. DMS can be defined as a software that controls and organizes document of an organization. Nowadays, many businesses houses are adopting maintenance of records efficiently through document scanning, cloud document management and secure archive storage services. In cloud document management, digitized records can be uploaded together with relevant data to secure cloud document management solution. This allows maintenance records to be accessed from any location using a web browser. So DMS is a software that have the search engine facility and to file the systems, to communication the module, version controls, means in MC version 1, version 2, like that. Document retrieval, document archiving and metadata. Next, advantages of the DMS. First, tracking on both check-in and check-out by the various officers. Which officer is checking in and which officer is checking out. Locking and unlocking of the document. When the document needs to be locked and when not required to be unlocked, can be unlocked. Simultaneous editing. Both people can edit at the same time into different systems. Document version control from version 1 to version 2. Rollback options or retrieve option. If a document is lost, how can we retrieve it back? Ease in audit control. Annotations and stamps. Annotation means comments, means easily can comment. Advantages of the electronic records: cost effective, ease of use, labor saving. Searchability, main important, searchability, portability, version tracking. Even disadvantages: software risk, because software may get outdated, that one. Format risk. Means some software will want only PDF format, want only JPG format, like that. Format risk. And next, reliability. Paper is an agnostic format. All persons need to have a light source and some eyes to be able to read paper. It's a good idea to have most vital documents imaged, but keeping a paper copy assures that a person have access to them anytime. A person should keep a paper copy of vital documents, deeds, corporate documents stored in a safe. Means everything we can't rely on the electronic. Some of them should be in physical as well. Portability. It is very easy to misplace or accidentally delete large amount of data. It's very easy more for data to duplicate and transport outside of the organization without the permission or knowledge. It's very easy for it to be misplaced or corrupted as well. The very properties that make it easy to use also make it easy to steal and easy to delete if the proper safeguards aren't in place. Next, maintenance and inspection. In maintenance, like keyword is capable, means who are capable of maintaining, only they can maintain. So keyword is capable. However, the records in electronic form shall be maintained in such manner as the board of director of the company may think fit. First one is the records are maintained in same format and in accordance with the requirement laws. The information as required under the provisions of the Act, rules made thereunder should be adequately recorded for future references. The information should be adequately recorded for future reference. The record must be so. C, D, E, F, all four are related to capable. First one is capable of being readable, retrievable, reproducible. Readable, retrievable, reproducible. And next capable is capable of being dated and signed digitally. And next, the record once dated and signed digitally shall not be capable of being edited or altered to prevent the misuse. Next, the record shall be capable of being updated according to the provisions of the Act. Next, security of the record maintained in electronic form. Security means, think of security guard. What he will do? He will ensure that only access people will come in. He will ensure the gates are locked. So ensure is a key point. The managing director, company secretary, or any other director, officer of the company, as the board may decide, shall be responsible for maintenance and security. Shall be responsible for maintenance and security of the electronic records. The person who is responsible for the maintenance and security of the electronic data records shall provide adequate protection against unauthorized access. Next, ensure against losses of the records. Ensure that signatory of electronic records does not repudiate the signed records as not genuine. Ensure that the computer system, software, hardware and are adequately secured and validated to ensure their accuracy, reliability and consistent intended performance. Ensure that the computer system can discern invalid and altered records. Ensure that the records are accurate, accessible and capable of being reproduced for reference later. Ensure that the records are at all time capable of being retrieved to a reasonable and printable form. Ensure that the records are kept in a non-rewritable and non-erasable format like PDF, means read only like that. Ensure that at least one backup taken at a periodicity of not exceeding 1 day are kept of the updated records. Limit the access to the records to the MD, CS or any other director or officer. Ensure that any reproduction of non-electronic original records of in electronic form. Arrange and index the records. Take necessary steps to ensure security, integrity and confidentiality of the records. Next, physical repository. The term physical repository refers to a central place where the data is stored and maintained. A repository can be a place where multiple databases or files are located for distribution over a network, or a repository can be a location that is directly accessible to the user without having to travel across a network. The comparison between virtual and physical data room. First, form of documents: papers, files, boxes or other tangible thing. Electronic or digital soft copies of documents including video, audio. Security of the documents lies with the integrity of a person who is in charge. So integrity more secure through specific login ID and password. In addition, facilities like internet firewalls are there. Time required for the creation of a data room: longer time required in physical and can be created within 48 hours once demand of prospective bidders are identified. Cost is high because of the reasons like requirement of one person to take care of the data room, requires bidders to travel from their place to place of location of data room. Cost is low as the documents can be viewed from any location with the internet security. Convenience. Searching the documents is time consuming. More convenient as it enables multiple bidders to review the documents at the same time with search facility also. Think like physical is while we are writing CSR exam, we are searching for the answer, that is physical. Virtual means in phone, in PDF we can through find we can do like that. Think in your mind so that it will be easy. Next, accessibility to data room. Timings to access data may be restricted. Data may be accessed nearly any time. Facility to restrict access of specific data. Difficult to implement any restriction. Access can be restricted. Facility to check who has reviewed what documents and how many times. Available with high cost. Available with negotiable cost. In ICSA, when we review the answers, this feature will be there. Facility to highlight new information to be conveyed manually to all the bidders. A highlight can be made in a website created as data room. Ability to copy documents. Possible, not possible always. Sometimes it is possible. One-to-one communication with the seller or his representative. Available, not available. Coding and nomenclature. For naming any documents, adopting a good file naming conventions can be help ensure that files will work with different operating system. Further, the file names can be either self-descriptive or non-descriptive. The descriptive file names are useful for small, well-defined projects with existing identification schemes that link the digital object to the source material. However, inconsistent application of terms or typos will increase to indexing and sorting the errors. Non-descriptive file names are usually system-generated sequential numerical string or the system-based, such as digital ID number, combination of date and time, name of the original file, and are often linked to metadata stored elsewhere. Non-descriptive file names are often created for large-scale digitization projects and may employ a digital ID number and numerical sequences to indicate batch or parent-child relationship. The advantage of non-descriptive names is that there is less chance of repeated or non-unique file names within the data structure. Some applications and computer scripts could not recognize spaces or process files differently when using spaces. A best practice is to replace spaces in file names with an underline or hyphen. So in Instagram also we can use only these two things. The file name should be unique and consistently structured. The file name should be unique and consistently structured, be persistent and not tied to anything that changes over time or location. Limit the character length to no more than 25 to 35 characters. Use leading zeros to facilitate sorting in numerical order. Contain a file format extension. Use a period followed by file extension. Use lowercase letters. However, when a name has more than one word, start each word with an uppercase letter. Use number and or letters but not characters. Means we can use number and letters, not characters, such as symbols, spaces, that should be avoided. Use hyphens or underscores. Use standard date notation. Avoid blank spaces anywhere within the character string. Not use an overlay complex or lengthy naming scheme. Next, 10 basic rules. First, avoid extra long folder names and complex hierarchical structures, but use information rich film name instead. So do's. First, don't you see, you can understand. D, Alpha Botanicals Private /financial /2016-17 annual return /form MGT7 doc. In do's, see how simple it is. D means D for document. ABC Company Financial Year 16-17 annual return MGT7 doc. So reason is complex hierarchical, same thing, the particulars what we have given in that only we can write off. Next, put sufficient elements in the structure for easy retrieval and identification, but do not overdo it. So ABC report invoice.pdf. And do is ABC search report. Invoice date. Precision targeted retrieval requires sufficient elements. First one is don't put over less. Second one is don't put too little. And next, use the underscore as element delimiter. Do not use spaces or other. Majorly they are saying don't use the spaces. So here in don'ts, Smita J AXA policy and so. In do's, Smita J. So they have used in don'ts full stop and symbols, dollar symbol, that all they have used. In do's, they only used hyphens or underscores. Next, use the hyphen to delimit, means to delimit words within an element, or capitalize the first letter of each word. So capitalize or hyphen both. In don'ts, Smith John AIG policy year PDF white paper structured file naming strategy. In do's, Smitha John AIG CY white paper structured file naming doc. Spaces are poor visual delimiters and some search tools do not work with spaces. Fifth, element should be ordered from general to specific. General to specific. So first, trial don'ts, trial balance Q3 2009 10-15 ACME Corporation version 2 financial year paint shop work order production. No sync at all. In example of poor documentation, third point we read now, recording of events is not in sequence and table. This is an example of that. This is not in the sequence. So financial year 2009, company name, quarter, trial balance, which is version and related to what? Production, paint shop and work order. Like that we have to go to the sequence. The order of sixth, the order of the important rule holds true when elements include date and timestamps. Dates should be ordered year, month, day. Timestamp should be ordered hour, minute, second. Hour, minute, second. So RF Q375 cable unlimited bid. This is date, month, year, PDF, November project. Here they gave RFQ cables unlimited BID and in the format first year, next month, next date, and 2011 and time in hour and minutes format. Hour, minute, first hour, next minute, next second, and date, first year, month, date. Personal names within an element should have family name first, followed by first name or initials. So initial, if any Mr. X, his initial should be there first. After his name should not be initial, first initial should be there. Peter Tate Sun Life, J. Smith, admin Wake. In do's, Tate Peter, that is his surname I think. Sun Life and policy Smitha wage review. And next, abbreviate the content of element whenever possible. Abbreviate means full name we can, for SEBI LODR, how will abbreviate that? No need to write full name. So like that. Minister of Revenue, QBEC sales tax, second quarter, multi-CIM technologies. In do's, REV, revenue for revenue, REV, QST 2009, quarter 2. Next, an element for version control should start with V, followed by at least 2 digits and should be placed as the last most element. To distinguish between working draft, use version number X or what, version 1 or 2 and 1, version 99 range, and for final draft, major version release, version 12000. Don'ts, MCIM proposal 9 document EXADOX user manual. In do's, MCIM proposal version 9 document, means directly we can go to version 9. If version 9 is not mentioned, if version 8, version 10 is there, which version to go, like that. And user manual. Next, 10th, prefix the name of the pertinent subfolder to file, name of files that are being shared via email or portable storage device. So Vivo Suzuki 2009 7th month 25 date quarter 3 trial balance. In do's, production PS ASSL NAM in Suzuki and still more. Last trial balance. Next, circulation of the documents, and next, safety and retrieval of records. To assure the best quality of documents, it is to be assured that sufficient records are maintained to furnish evidence of the activities affecting the quality. The record should incorporate the following. First, operating logs, result of the reviews, inspections, monitoring of work performance, information analysis. So, operating log, result of review, inspections, monitoring of work performance, information analysis. Next, the care of the records and archive is governed by three key concepts. Keeping together, ensure life cycle record preservation. Keeping together, ensure life cycle record preservation. In ensure life cycle, there are three subpoints: current phase, semi-current and non-current. Semi-current, non-current. Current and semi and non-current. In non-current, it will go to archives. Preservation of records. Preservation of records refers to the implementation of strategies that enhance and prolong the usable life of records and archives. Preservation encompasses storage and handling. Regulation 9 provides that listed entities shall have a policy for preservation of documents approved by its board of directors, classifying them in at least two categories. First, permanent, and the other documents is not less than 8 years. The following factors need to be considered in the preparation of preservation and archival policy of the company: analysis and restructuring existing the system, analysis and restructure the existing system, organizing and controlling the records, providing physical protection for records, managing records in record centers, managing the archives, supporting and sustaining the program. So first, analyzing and restructuring existing system, organizing and controlling record, providing physical protection for records, managing records in record centers, managing archives, supporting and sustaining the program. Which of the following regulations SEBI LODR provides for disclosure to be hosted in website of the listed entity for a minimum of period of 5 years and thereafter as per the archival policy? Regulation 38, sub 8. Preservation of litigation document. Document arising out of various litigation wherein a company is a party in any manner shall need to be preserved as per the directions or orders of the court, tribunal, judicial or other authorities as may be applicable, in absence of which document shall be preserved for a period of not less than 8 years consecutively calendar after conclusion of such litigation. Means after the litigation over 8 years. If authority prescribed, according to authority. Model policy, purpose and scope, classification of documents, principle of responsibility, periodical review, suspension, statutory requirements, web archival policy. And annexure, documents whose preservation shall be permanent in nature. First, property records, corporate records, personal file of all live employees, any other records as may be decided by CEO or MD or whole-time director of the company. Documents whose preservation period shall not be less than 8 years from completion of relevant transaction. Books of account, filing with the stock exchange, payroll records, means paid to employees, that record. CSR records, sponsorship project records, correspondence and internal memorandum, any other record. Documents whose preservation shall be minimum of 3 years after the completion of event. Tender, lease, legal, insurance, email correspondence, documents under SS, any other record. Setting up of a record room. The following factors should be considered while setting up of the data room: humidity, temperature, light. It is very important factor, and excess humidity creates fungus and produces a proliferation of corrosive insects. The lack of humidity, on the other hand, produces brittle and fragile sheets of the papers. A controlled humidity between 30 and 40% is the best standard for preservation. Temperature, the lower the temperature, the better for preservation of record. However, suggested to maintain normal temperature in the record room. Light has a considerable impact on the documentation preservation. Not only visible light to the human eye, but the infrared or ultraviolet radiation could cause damages. Privacy of record and its control. For any business house, the following documents are primarily considered as confidential and need complete privacy. First, customer and employee information. First, related to customer. Majorly business is focused on customer. So, customer and employee information office plan, office ID, internal procedure manuals, office plan, office ID, internal procedure and manual, contract and commercial documents and trade secrets, trade secret. Next, suggestive steps for protecting confidential information. The company may adopt the following procedure for protecting confidential information. First, all confidential information should be stored in the logged file cabinet. The cabinet should be logged. Logged file cabinet or rooms accessible only to those who are authorized. All electronic confidential information should be protected via firewalls, encryption and password. Employees should clear their desk of any confidential information before going home at the end of the day. Employees should refrain from leaving confidential information visible on their computer monitors when they leave their workstations. All the information, confidential information, whether content on written or electronically, should be marked as confidential. Employees should refrain from discussing confidential information in public places. Employees should avoid using email to transmit certain sensitive or controversial information. Before displaying of an old computer, use software programs to wipe out the data contained on the computer or have the hard drive destroyed. Thank you.